Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that's hard to accept, something we've all felt but often try to ignore or disguise. I want to talk about loss. More specifically, I want to talk about why you lose. We've all been there. We work so hard, give everything we have, invest our time, our energy, sometimes even our heart and soul into something, and then we lose. We don't get the result we wanted. We come up short. Maybe it's in a relationship, maybe it's in your career, maybe it's something you tried to create or build. But whatever it is, it didn't work out the way you planned. And that hurts. But what if I told you that loss isn't something to fear, but something to learn from? What if loss is actually the beginning of something much greater than the outcome you had initially wanted? Today, we're going to explore 3 core reasons why we lose and, more importantly, how each of these reasons is actually an invitation to grow. So, if you've ever experienced failure, if you're going through a season of loss right now, or if you're terrified of facing it in the future, then this message is for you. The first reason why you lose is because you're afraid of failure. And fear, my friends, is the biggest enemy of success. When you're too afraid to fail, you limit yourself. You stay in the safe zone. You take the easy road because you don't want to risk the pain of coming up short. You tell yourself, if I don't try, I can't fail. But let me tell you something profound. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every great success story you know, every athlete, every entrepreneur, every artist, has a string of failures behind them. Each time they failed, they learned something. They got stronger. They became wiser. Each failure was like a rung on the ladder that took them one step closer to success. Let's take a real-life example. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, failed thousands of times before he finally created something that worked. When asked about it, he didn't say, "I failed thousands of times." He said, "I found thousands of ways that didn't work." That's resilience. That's the mindset of growth. And that's what fear of failure keeps you from experiencing. The second reason why you lose is because you aren't fully committed. You're giving half your energy, half your attention, half your time. And half efforts rarely lead to full results. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a personal goal. Maybe it was a professional aspiration. Did you give it everything you had? Or did you make excuses, procrastinate, or distract yourself because you were afraid you wouldn't succeed anyway? Commitment means going all in, even when there's no guarantee of success. It means pushing yourself beyond the comfort zone. When you're fully committed, every setback becomes a stepping stone. Every challenge becomes a test of your resolve. There's a story of a famous samurai, a warrior in ancient Japan. His army landed on the shores of the enemy, and once they got there, he ordered his men to burn the boats. Imagine that. They had no way of retreating. The only way to survive was to win. There was no backup plan, no safety net, just 100% commitment to victory. And they won because they had no other choice. The third reason why you lose is because you're focused too much on the result, not the journey. When your mind is only on the end goal, you overlook the importance of each small step along the way. Success is not an event, it's a process. It's a series of small wins, small improvements, and consistent efforts. Focusing only on the result can make you impatient and frustrated. It blinds you to the progress you're making, even if that progress is slow. Imagine you're a runner, aiming to win a marathon. If you're only focused on the finish line, you might overlook every stride, every breath, and every beat of your heart that's keeping you going. You might get discouraged when you see someone ahead of you, but what if that person started before you did? What if they're on a different path altogether? When you learn to focus on the process instead of the outcome, you develop resilience, persistence, and a deep sense of fulfillment that will carry you, even if the journey is hard. So, now that we know why we lose, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let fear keep you from trying? Are you going to stay half-committed, making excuses for why things didn't work out? Are you going to keep looking at the end goal without appreciating the progress you're making? Or, are you going to let each loss be your teacher? Are you going to let each setback make you stronger, each mistake make you wiser, and each failure be the foundation of your success? Loss is painful, yes, but loss is also powerful. Loss humbles us, challenges us, and if we're willing, loss is what can shape us into our best selves. When you look at loss this way, you start to realize that maybe you didn't really lose after all. Maybe that setback, that closed door, that relationship that didn't work out, maybe it was redirecting you to something better. Maybe it was a wake-up call to find out who you are and what you're made of. The truth is, everyone loses sometimes. What separates those who succeed from those who give up is how they respond to loss. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do I lose? Why do things sometimes not go the way we hope? Why, despite our best efforts, do we sometimes face failure? Loss is a tough pill to swallow. It shakes us. It makes us question our worth, our abilities, and sometimes even our purpose. But loss doesn't exist to bring us down. Loss exists to lift us up, to teach us, to help us grow in ways that success alone never could. Everyone loses. Whether it's in work, relationships, finances, personal goals, or even in day-to-day challenges, loss is universal. But what defines us is not that we lose, but how we respond to it. Today, I want to walk you through why we experience loss and how it can transform us if we let it. We'll explore the 3 main reasons why we lose and how each of them can be used to our advantage. The first reason why you lose is often due to the fear of failure. Fear can be paralyzing. It convinces us to settle for less, to play it safe, to hold back. Fear tells us, if you try too hard and fail, people will judge you. But this fear limits us more than any external barrier ever could. Imagine an artist who's afraid to show their work to the world because they fear it isn't good enough. They may have incredible talent, yet their fear holds them back. The same applies to you. When you fear failure, you shrink from opportunities that could lead to growth. You avoid taking the risks that could elevate your life. Fear of failure leads to loss because it keeps you from even trying. And without trying, how can you hope to win? The second reason we lose is due to a lack of full commitment. It's easy to say we want something, but actions are what truly define our level of commitment. Giving only half of our energy, our time, or our focus is like planting a seed but not watering it every day. You can't expect a full harvest from a seed you neglected. Lack of commitment is often rooted in doubt or a lack of purpose. If you're only partially invested in your goals, setbacks will hit harder and you'll be more likely to give up. But when you're committed, loss is just a temporary hurdle, not a dead end. The third reason people lose is due to an unhealthy obsession with the end result. We live in a world that glorifies outcomes. Winning the trophy, getting the promotion, achieving the perfect relationship. But focusing only on the outcome blinds you to the beauty and importance of the process. And in focusing only on the result, we lose patience and become easily frustrated. Think of someone trying to lose weight or build muscle. If all they focus on is the final goal, they might feel defeated after every weigh-in if they don't see progress. But if they focus on enjoying each workout, each healthy meal, and each small victory, they'll stay motivated and engaged in the journey. When you become too focused on the final outcome, you miss out on the steps that lead you there. You lose because you forget to appreciate the progress, the lessons, and the skills you gain along the way. Now that we understand the reasons why we lose, the question becomes, how can we turn this around? What if we could use each loss as a stepping stone, as a learning experience that brings us closer to our ultimate goals? Loss can be a powerful teacher. It humbles us. It forces us to confront our weaknesses, to rethink our strategies, and to grow. Loss reminds us that success is not given. It is earned through perseverance, resilience, and growth. Lesson 1. Transforming fear of failure into courage. Instead of letting fear control you, try to see failure as feedback. Each time you fail, it's an opportunity to learn something valuable. Look at athletes. Every missed shot, every lost game teaches them something. When you start to view failure as part of the process, you're no longer afraid of it. Instead, you seek out challenges, knowing that every time you fall, you're one step closer to rising higher. Lesson 2. Building full commitment. Commitment means not giving up when the going gets tough. It means showing up day after day, even when you're tired, discouraged, or doubtful. Ask yourself, am I giving my all, or am I holding back? True commitment requires you to put your full self into the journey. When you do, setbacks will feel less like loss and more like small detours. Lesson 3. Embracing the process, not just the result. When you learn to enjoy the journey, You find happiness and fulfillment along the way, regardless of the outcome. You begin to see each step as progress, each day as a victory. When you focus on the process, losing doesn't feel like a failure. It feels like another step forward in your growth. Imagine the story of any person you admire: a successful entrepreneur, an accomplished athlete, a creative genius. Behind every success story, you'll find a series of losses. They didn't just wake up one day successful. They failed, they lost, they struggled, and then they rose. Loss is part of every success story because it's where the real growth happens. It's what forges resilience, courage, and strength. Losing teaches you what doesn't work, what needs improvement, and what's truly important. It's easy to love the idea of success, but if you want to succeed, you have to learn to love the struggle. You have to see setbacks as stepping stones, obstacles as opportunities, and challenges as chances to grow stronger. When you fall in love with the struggle, loss no longer feels like defeat. It feels like progress. Every time you lose, you're given a chance to grow. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" start asking, "What can I learn from this?" Each loss can teach you something about yourself, about others, or about the world. It's not an end. It's a beginning. Losing can feel like the end of the road, but it's really just a bend in the path. Every loss carries within it the seed of a comeback, a chance to regroup and return even stronger. Think of every successful person you admire. They've all faced loss, but they used it as a launchpad rather than a dead end. Loss pushes us out of our comfort zones. It forces us to adapt, to change, to grow. And growth only happens in discomfort. When you're too comfortable, you're not challenging yourself. Loss disrupts that comfort, compelling you to become more resilient and resourceful. If you've lost, it's proof that you tried. It means you cared enough to put yourself out there, to risk, to dream. You've already done something courageous just by taking that leap. And if you keep going, every loss you experience will build your strength and confidence. Loss doesn't take away from your worth. It adds to your wisdom. Imagine if everyone quit after their first setback. There would be no inventions, no masterpieces, no breakthroughs. The world is shaped by people who didn't give up in the face of failure. It's shaped by those who saw loss as part of the process. When you lose, it's an invitation to look within and ask, "What can I improve? What can I learn?" These questions transform loss from a painful experience into a source of powerful insights. Self-reflection turns each failure into a lesson that sharpens your skills, your strategies, and your perspective. In every loss, there's a valuable lesson waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, losing forces you to reevaluate your approach, to change your mindset, or to find new strategies. Other times, it reveals what truly matters to you, showing you where your real passions lie. Loss can be a powerful way to discover your authentic path. Remember, the way you respond to loss is a choice. You can choose to be defeated by it, or you can choose to rise above it. The most resilient people in life are not those who avoid loss, but those who use it as fuel to drive them forward. Loss has a way of exposing weaknesses you might not have noticed otherwise, giving you the chance to strengthen them. When you're tempted to give up, remind yourself why you started. Remember the vision that first inspired you, the passion that drove you to take action. Loss doesn't mean your dream is over. It just means the journey might take a different shape than you expected. Instead of seeing loss as a failure, see it as feedback. It's the world's way of telling you, this path isn't working, let's find a better one. Use that feedback to refine your goals and strategies. Sometimes, loss redirects you to something even better than what you originally aimed for. The journey to success is never straight. It's full of twists, turns, setbacks, and breakthroughs. Embrace every part of that journey, including the losses, because each step brings you closer to the person you're meant to become. Don't let loss diminish your belief in yourself. Let it reinforce your commitment to growth. Ultimately, loss can be your greatest teacher. It prepares you, molds you, and makes you resilient. When you refuse to give up, every setback becomes a stepping stone toward a stronger, wiser version of yourself. So the next time you lose, hold your head high and keep going, because the only true failure is giving up. So, the next time you face loss, don't run from it. Embrace it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I grow from this? because that's the real power of loss. It's not the end of your story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. You lose because you're growing. You lose because you're learning. You lose because you're becoming the person you were meant to be. And when you see loss in this way, you realize that every loss is really a lesson. Every failure is a building block, and every setback is a setup for a comeback. So, let's go out there. Embrace the struggle, welcome the setbacks, and remember that we never truly lose till we either win or we learn.